working with me on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Kevin, how are you?
I'm great, man. What a fantastic weekend. In addition to yourself, we've got some luminaries here like Brian Hooker and James Lyons-Weiler. Peter McCullough's here. Pierre Corey. What a fantastic weekend, man. I am so psyched.
Yeah, you're having a good time. And we are often at a number of events together.
Yeah.
I see you a lot.
Yeah.
Have you been actually on the show? Because I've seen you so much. I thought so, right?
Yeah, you and I talked on the show once before, several months ago.
Several months ago.
Yeah.
Did Kevin, the other Kevin, connect us? Or how did it work? Or was it at the show?
It was actually our connection was made at this very event, the last one they had. Yeah, it was the Next Steps.
Right.
And that's what's so great about this this idea. It's actually action steps we can take to get out of this mess that we've allowed ourselves to get into.
Yeah. Well, how did you get out of the mess of being a medical doctor? Because you're still one, I know. But
I was a chiropractor, actually.
Right.
Yeah, as a chiropractor, and so I was a pilot at the same time, right? And so I was actually having more fun in the cockpit than I was being in the office.
Right.
And so I just kind of.
That's how it transitioned.
Yeah, that's how it transitioned.
Right.
And, so I got to spend 33 years as an airline pilot, 21 years as a captain. It was fun. It was a great job until it wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And what happened was they tried to force a mask on my face.
No, that ain't happening.
I refused to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Kevin knows better. Absolutely does. And he's willing to stand up. And that's the thing, too, being here. Connecting with people that are standing up and speaking out.
Right.
Not the cowards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a line in the sand, you know, and that line is just something that cannot be crossed. And you just got to have the bravery and the courage to stand up and say no. So what it's going to take to get out of this mess that we're in, one of the things is peaceful noncompliance. Because this whole playbook that they used with social distancing, masking, making us stand on spot 6 feet apart. And can you believe the compliance that people had for that?
Dude, if they had said, pat your head and rub your tummy, people would have done it.
And you know how they got away with it? They got away with it out of fear. They scared everybody.
Yeah.
They tried to convince everyone that if you made contact with this virus, that it was going to kill you. Okay, that was a lie right from the start. We knew that because there was a perfect petri dish to look at this. It was off of the coast of Japan. It was called the Diamond Princess cruise ship. 3,711 people on that ship. Only about 470 or so got sick, and only 9 of them died. And the people that died, they were elderly, they were frail, they were comorbid.
Yeah.
That is just exactly what you would expect from a normal flu season. And so what happened? Mass media got involved, and they started spreading these images all over the television 24/7 of people falling, dropping over in China, people running around in hazmat suits, the body stacking up, and none of this was real. It was over exaggerated. And so people got absolutely scared to death, and they started to do whatever the government told them to do.
They knew our fear of germs was a vulnerability that they could exploit, and they did it to the hilt. And you know the question of when you mentioned that cruise ship analogy, or let's say reality. The question should have been, hey, how come everybody didn't get sick and die?
Exactly.
Let's focus on the people that were healthy. Sorry about the people that died. But even, as I was talking with that Dr. Plasker, who was on stage with me today,
right?
We were talking about, I think also with Jim Gale, who was in the discussion, about the wrong question to ask. It's like the wrong question to ask is, why did you get sick and die? The right question is, what about all the people that didn't get sick and didn't die?
Right.
Why did they stay healthy?
Exactly.
They never ask that question.
No, they never do. They never do ask that question. And so I'll give you another really, really good example. And anybody can look this up. It's on the CDC website. It's also on the WHO website concerning polio. When you say polio to a parent with a child, it scares them to death. Why? What's the first image that creeps into their mind?
Iron lungs and paralysis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
70% of polio infections, and I mean the real infection where the virus is inside of you, 70% of them are completely asymptomatic, no symptoms whatsoever. 24% are symptoms of the common cold.
Right.
4% have what's called a temporary paralysis. It lasts for a few hours, maybe a couple of days, and then it completely resolves.
Well,
Completely goes away.
It's not a total paralysis when you say that. There's various forms of paralysis, mild things to severe, and a fraction of a percentage point ended up in the so-called iron lung that they used to promote this. And I would argue that there was not one virus, if there was any at all, that this was DDT and toxicological burdens on the nervous system at that time, that they always need to blame a virus, because in that way they can alleviate any liability from the companies that were polluting and poison intoxicating us.
You're right. And, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even believe in viruses, but let's not even go there right now.
Yeah, we don't need to.
What you're mentioning is the fact that whatever it is, it's having a toxic effect on the body, a toxic effect. And so less than 1% of those infections of polio, less than 1% are the ones that are going to end up with a permanent paralysis. Right. So what should we be doing? We should be looking at the less than 1% and saying, what can we do to make those people look like everybody else?
There's the nail. Now, Dr. Stillwagon nailed it. In addition to that question I asked, it's like, we say we want to protect the vulnerable, right? If we said that and we said, let's focus our attention on the people that were really at risk, but modern medicine would say triage them, drug them, vent them, kill them. You know, they won't say kill them. Rather than what we would do is say, hey, why are they vulnerable? Let's strengthen their system so they're not vulnerable. Instead, what allopathic medicine and public health does is that let's make everybody equally vulnerable. Let's poison them, intoxicate them, jab them, and make them all equally sick.
Exactly. And what they're trying to do is false thinking. They're injecting you with something to create what's called an antibody. The false thinking behind that is this. The antibody is what's called a serum antibody. It's always going to be inside of you. It's in your blood. It's in your lymph. It's there to react to an infection. It cannot stop a virus, a particle, a bacteria, a toxin, a poison, whatever it is. It cannot stop it from getting inside of you. And once it gets inside of you, it cannot stop it from spreading to other people. It's absolutely impossible. None of these shots were ever designed to do that. And so what are we doing? Really, we're injecting the biggest part of the population, which is healthy, trying to give some, quote, protection, but there is no protection there. And that's what people have to learn.
Ultimately, they're injecting fear into our psyche, into our consciousness, and it manifests physically in that way. Our buddy Michael Bolden, 10th Amendment Center, always has good quotes. I think, let me see if I can find this one from John Adams, I believe it was. Fear is the foundation of most governments, John Adams. And of course, it's how modern medicine plays out, and you can't tell the difference between the medical monopoly and the government it owns and controls through the pharma influence. But it's got us trapped in a belief system, not you and me and many of the people listening, but still a significant portion of our population is trapped in fear-based thinking.
They are trapped in fear. And so how do we get out of this mess? Well, you have to overcome the fear. You overcome the fear of these viruses, bacteria, whatever it is, by understanding where the true protection of infection resides. And it resides in the epithelial barrier. That's what separates the inside of you from the outside.
So
it starts at
why not let's just inject past the epithelial barrier and pierce it? That makes a lot of sense. You bozos, you medical morons. Hey, check this out. We got a comment from our friend Chris. Speaking of bartending and Dr. Kevin Stillwagon, when he described on my show the process for repairing the mRNA COVID shots, I let him know that's enough to make a bartender blush. What is he referring to there?
I'm not sure I remember that. I mean, I've been on so many shows. I can't. They all start running together.
Yeah. Do you even know what show you're on right now?
You're on the Robert Scott Bell show.
Oh, it's like you cheated. You read it. You didn't know. He didn't know. He's so busy. But we're having a good time here at the Next Steps Conference, y'all. We got a few more hours to go beyond this show. So if you want to join us, there's a VIP gala tonight. I don't think you can get tickets to eat the food, but you can have tickets to join us.
Yes, you can.
But then again, I don't eat the food either. I will give credit to Tia, who put this thing on. I told her not to, and she did it anyway. She made an organic, vegan something cake. Birthday cake.
You know, I got to give this guy credit. He practices what he preaches. You know,
don't tell him that.
No, I'm telling you,
I'm a hypocrite. Come on, call me out.
There was a spread of food here yesterday that was unbelievable. And there's Robert Scott Bell out in the foyer eating a plate of organic strawberries, organic blueberries mixed up with organic
whole milk yogurt.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, man, you are my hero. He lives it.
You're making me hungry on my day of fasting. So I'm not going to break it till later, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is what we do when we have been as sick as I have been. Now, I have said that everybody has a different pain threshold or tolerance for pain and discomfort.
Yeah.
Obviously, I hit it when I was I sort of hit it at 18 or 19, but I didn't have anything to do other than drugs. And I realized the doctors were going to kill me. And it was 4 or 5 years later that I met a homeopathic doctor, and that changed my life and changed my diet as well. And for me, it was never about a fad diet. It was like, maybe I can do this for a couple of weeks. I'll be all better. And then I can go back to eat my McDeath burgers. I'm like, no, that was never, I thought, I really get this now. I understood it indelibly almost immediately, had the experience to strengthen my resolve to go this way. And that's why I haven't compromised in that regard. And I'm not judging of other people because I've been there. I never want to forget that, because when I do, and if I do, my wife can slap me upside the head. So can Super Don to go, hey, remember when you didn't know something?
Right.
So I never want to beat somebody up for not knowing it, unless they're medical doctors. Then they should know it. And I'm sorry if I get a little, I don't know what the word would be, but I'm not going to physically beat up a doctor. That's not my intent anyway.
No. Yeah. No. And so everything you're doing is the right thing. You're strengthening the epithelial barrier that we talked about. It separates the inside of you from the outside. The only way that anything that's out there in the environment can affect you in a negative way is it's got to get through that epithelial barrier. It's got to get in you. It's got to get in you. It's got to get in your blood and lymph. How does it do that? Well, there are different ways. You can have a natural infection, and there's a very technical explanation as to why that happens. But there's also other ways that those toxins can get in. You can elect to inject them on purpose. You can rub them into your skin in some of these pharmaceutical products that are out there, or you can have a bad diet loaded with glyphosate, which we know destroys the tight junctions in the gut lining.
Barrier. It breaks the barrier as well.
The barrier down. And so now things that you eat are going to, instead of being absorbed and broken down into protein peptides, the large protein particles are going to go right through that tight junction that's now loose, and it's called
the barrier.
It's called a leaky gut. And anytime you get a large protein that gets through that barrier that doesn't belong there, what's your body do? It mounts an immune response.
Yeah. The basis for allergies and autoimmunity starts there with the leaky gut, and all that never allows the immune system to go back on watchdog status.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're destroying that barrier. Now, by injecting something into your body to supposedly create an antibody, it does the same thing. It's going to destroy that protection that you have on the epithelial barrier. And I'll explain it in a very simple way. Right beneath that epithelial barrier, you've got sentinel cells. They're like guard dogs that are patrolling that fence constantly. They've got fancy names. One of them is called a natural killer cell. Another one is called a dendritic cell. And another one is called an activated cytotoxic T cell. And so when you inject something into your body, that immune response starts, and it retrains those cells that should have the pathogen, the toxin, the virus, the bacteria, whatever you want to call it. It's supposed to come through that barrier naturally, so that all of those cells can experience the whole thing, right? The whole particle, the whole virus, the whole bacteria, all of it. But what are we doing? We're injecting something that creates one little piece of that virus or bacteria. And that is going to train your immune system to look at that.
It's a fragmentary immune response.
And look at that only, right?
It's not complete.
What happens is that part of the virus mutates. It changes. And so now when you come in contact with it naturally, your immune system doesn't even recognize it. And that's why these people that insist on continuing to get these jabs are continuing to get infected. They haven't.
And worse. as you know, because of the devastation to normal immune functions, normal genetic, let's say, responses to the environment that have been altered through a synthetic mRNA.
Yeah.
Dr. Stillwagon, you are a wealth of information as well. You know that. Did you fly here yourself, or where do you live normally?
I live in Clearwater Beach, Florida.
Are you going to be joining us at that Nutritional Frontiers event at Clearwater Beach?
I don't even know when it is.
Dude, Super Don, show everybody where he's disappeared. No, there he is. He's sitting down. I think
absolutely.
I lose track of Super Don, my pacifier, and he sits. And I'm like, oh, I'm not used to his sitting now because he's standing up. And let everybody know the upcoming events that are happening. That I think the next big one is, in fact, the Nutritional Frontiers sponsored retreat at Clearwater, Florida, where Dr. Stillwagon is. So maybe we can make sure he's there. Sells out.
Yeah.
So Super Don's going to track it down and show everybody. And let's see what else we got here. Looking at comments. Oh, there you go. Thank you. This is a professional training event, body, mind, soul restoration. So it's the night of the 31st is the first day. It's a Friday. And then it looks like April 1st and 2nd is the main days of that at Clearwater Beach.
Well, I said, sure, I certainly should be there.
So Dr. Mikovits, Dr. Tracy Stroup is there. I'll be there. And let's see, it's going to be an amazing weekend. A lot of recharging for the healers that need help healing too.
Great.
For themselves. So
yeah, fantastic.
A therapeutic weekend, y'all. Sign up, be there. Nutritional Frontiers, of course, has the dimethylglycine that I've been promoting because I've been utilizing it every day in response to the exposure to glyphosate. Even as an organic guy, there's overspray. It exists in everything everywhere. And it helps to counteract it. I learned that from Dr. Judy Mikovits, and she's one of those brilliant people you'll ever meet.
Oh, she is absolutely brilliant. I have sat down with her and had private chats, and man, it's hard to keep up with her. She is. Yeah, her mouth can't keep up with her brain.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. Let's see. What is this from Chris? A year ago, yesterday, Dr. Stillwagon was on a great 3-doctor panel in a local Clearwater, Florida event.
I remember that.
You've done some things there.
I remember that very, very well. And there were some great questions that came out of the audience that night. Really, really good questions.
Chris, I'm looking forward to seeing you, my brother, when we're down there, okay? And spread the word. We'll hopefully see you there. So, Dr. Stillwagon, we want to get Dr. Eric Plasker on the show now.
Yeah, I see him standing right there.
He was fired up on...
He was fired up, man.
I love him.
Some of these chiropractors, they really get excited, don't they?
I wish more of them would, because that's the vital force flowing through them.
It is the vital force. Yeah, get excited about something, man. It will change your life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Kev, how do people find you?
Well, I've got some things going. I've got a Substack. It's called drkevinstillwagon.substack.com.
Okay.
And I've got another channel on Rumble. If you just go to rumble.com and type in my name, there's all kinds of videos on there that I've done over the past couple of years. Some are long, some are short, but they're all very educational. And I'm also teaching an online course on immunity. It's a 4-module course. Each module is about an hour to an hour and a half long. And it is absolutely packed with information on how your immune system actually works. And when you understand it, then you'll lose your fear and you can no longer be controlled. So
that's
if
the
you
one thing we definitely want to lose.
Oh, yeah. And so if you want to find this course, you go to ODEM, that's ODEM.cloud.
Okay.
Like the clouds that you fly through in the sky, odem.cloud, and just type in the word immunity, and you will be connected to my course, and it's there permanently. You can watch it at your convenience.
Nice.
It's self-taught, self-paced.
Nice. Kevin, thank you, my brother.
It's always